Okay, hey everyone. Sorry to break this up into some parts, like different parts, because it's pretty late at night and I'm just kind of working through getting my family. Oh God, I had a piece of popcorn. Listen, I come on here looking any kind of way, like not looking totally bummy, but this is real life. So, right now I'm makeup free. My hair is not, you know, super perfect right now. I'm just, doing the work of the Lord and just doing what I can to get the message out. Because whenever I feel like an unction, I have to get it out. Like no matter where I am, I'm like, I gotta go film. I gotta go do a YouTube. So this is what you're gonna get from me. But I was talking about astrology, and I was talking about just how I see so many Christians just talking about calling themselves the sign that they were born under, the star sign, and just the danger in that, and just what you're playing with. You really don't understand what you're playing with. You were playing with witchcraft. And so God is not an author of confusion. So God is not going to tell you in the Bible to avoid astrologers, to do things like flee fornication, avoid astrologers, and then just approve, you talking about astrology or you calling yourself a particular star sign and doing it publicly as a Christian. That's kind of wild, because you really don't know and understand the deep, dark recesses of witchcraft that you were playing with. So I would say maybe for about a year of my life, I dabbled in New Age and I dabbled in astrology, and I burned up them psychic lines. I consulted with psychics for just about every area of my life, and it became an addiction for me. And I probably spent quite a bit of money just, going to psychics and asking them about just, mainly my love life. But at the time I was single, so mainly like my love life and the person that I was dating at the time, and it all started with believing in my star sign. It all started with just reading my horoscope, my daily horoscope, and wanting to know more and more about it, and just hearing people talk about it in conversations. And people would be like, oh, you must be da da da. Okay, so you must be da da da. So, this is how you are. And people would get the personality spot on. And I'm like, wow, like, how'd they figure that out? So, and then just because I'm a researcher at heart, and because God knows I'm a researcher, but the devil knows I'm a researcher, I was sitting just pouring through books and books of, astrology books, and just trying to understand myself more. And that's kind of where it comes from, trying to seek knowledge about self. It's a very self-centered form of witchcraft, astrology, because it's all about, excuse me, it's all about you. It's all about how, far you can go into you, and how deep you can figure you out, and how much you can get to know you. And it's pretty self-centered. It's a narcissistic form of witchcraft. All witchcraft is very self-centered, very narcissistic. It's all about the ego, the I, the self. And that's pretty much what I was doing. I was just going to Barnes and Nobles, looking online, just finding more and more information out about who I am. Even though I was raised in the church, even though my parents raised me in the church, they did the right thing, I still didn't feel like I knew myself. And that's kind of a slippery slope, because, of course the devil leads you to what he wants you to lead you to, which is basically more and more research and just discovering things and going, wow, that's me up and down. And wow, just looking at my negative traits and looking at my positive traits. And then looking at things like, you know, beyond your star sign. So how I got into understanding charts and reading charts is, you know, I had a big, thick book. The book was about like this big, this thick. It was like an encyclopedia. And I had a friend who actually had it first. And she was really into it. Like, you know, she was just really into understanding the signs and trying to help me figure my life out through astrology and trying to figure her life out through astrology. So she had this book, and this book, y'all, was crazy. It will basically tell you, like, you could go in that book and look at your birth date and look at somebody else's birth date, and then it'll tell you if you got along with that person. It will tell you if that person was the best person for you for friendship, for love, or, you know, for family. And I think those were the three categories. And so you could cross your birth date with anybody's birthday on the planet, and it will tell you what your relationship would be like. Now, you know that is demonic, because you're basically limiting yourself on who you could have a relationship with. It's not based on, you know, just your emotional intelligence. It's not based on, you know, how well you can get along with all different personalities. It's based on whether or not you could get along with somebody, the sun, the moon, and the stars, and you're just like doomed if you just happen to not have a Venus in a favorable sign as the other person has a Venus in. Like your Venus, if your Venus signs were not compatible, then you're just doomed. Like there's no way you could get along or get beyond it. And, you know, if not doomed, then you're just bound to have difficulties because your Venus sign is something that they're not compatible with. And it's just, when I look back on it, it's just crazy, and it's just like dumb, honestly, to believe in that type of stuff. But at the time, it gave me like a sense of purpose, and it gave me just a sense of knowing myself better. And I felt like I had really stumbled upon something of value. And, you know, just from me reading my horoscope, just from me believing in a star sign or believing in what my astrological sign was, it led me down this slippery slope of reading charts and, you know, planning my life around an astrological chart, or planning my relationship around somebody's birth date. And it just became more and more and more until, you know, I had a bad breakup, and that just put me down in the dungeons. And then I wanted to know what this person was thinking. I wanted to know if we were going to get back together. I wanted to know, like, you know, was this person destined for me? Was it just temporary, or was it a permanent breakup? And so a friend of mine who had also had a breakup around this same time, me and her bonded over our knowledge of astrological signs and our knowledge of astrological charts. And so she was going through a breakup, and I was going through a breakup. And she's like, you know what? You know, I think what you should really do is, you know, I was talking to this psychic the other day, and she just kind of gave me this rundown of, you know, my relationship and what it was like and all of that. And it kind of got me wondering, like, okay, maybe I should call a psychic and find out. And that led me down another slippery slope. And as a Christian now, here I am, a Christian woman. I'm calling psychics like every day. I'm calling psychics like, it started maybe one time a day. Then it became like multiple times a day. Then it became like, okay, now because my makeup is to have the best of everything. Like if I'm involved in something, I go hard in it and I want the best. Like if I like a car, I want the best car. If I like a house, you know, I want a beautiful house. And I was like, I want to talk to the most accurate psychic out there. And so then I sought after like psychics that cost more and more money, like, you know, hundreds of dollars an hour or hundreds of dollars for like 10 minutes of, you know, revelation, so to speak. And the one thing I realized is that it was so demonic, and this is how demonic it was, because I was never satisfied with what they told me. If I called one, I would want to know what another one would say and what another one would say, like about the same situation. So I would call multiple psychics about the same question I would have. And then it became to the point where, you know, one psychic would tell me one thing, and one psychic would tell me, okay, this relationship is going to work. And another psychic would say something like, I don't see this relationship working. I see it going down a slippery slope. And another psychic would be like, oh, I see it, you guys getting back together and you all getting married. Then another psychic was like, oh, he's never getting back to you. He has someone else. And then the other psychic would be like, he doesn't have anyone else. And it was just a bunch of confusion. And every single psychic just swore up and down that they were the most accurate one. And they even swore that they were like, you know, I would mainly go to female psychics, but they even swore that they were like women of God and, you know, men of God. Like they were speaking God's truth. And I'm telling you, it was bad. Like it was like, and the next thing you know, once you go to psychics, you open yourself up to demonic spirits. And so part 3 is going to be talking about how I went from just believing in my star sign, how it took me down a slippery slope of, you know, just believing in all this crazy stuff, all these astrological charts, getting this book, you know, understanding all this moon and Venus signs and, you know, charting my relationships by, you know, astrology and charting my decisions by astrology. And then going into part 3, where I talk about the spiritual warfare that comes with believing in astrology, believing in your star sign, and just the types of spirits that it attracts. So stay tuned for part 3.